I fell in love with this Indian guy, thinking he was my soulmate, my forever. But loving him turned out to be the worst decision I have ever made in my life. Hi, I'm Anna. I'm 22 years old. And I live in this small town called Georgetown, Ontario. My story started off like a fairy tale. I met Mohit, this incredibly charming 29-year-old guy, at my local gym. I still remember the first time we spoke. I was finishing up my workout, feeling sweaty and tired. And he just walked up to me with this big, confident smile and said, "Hey, you're killing it today." From the very first conversation, there was this energy about him that pulled me in. He drove a gorgeous Jeep Grand Wagoner, always wore nice clothes, and carried himself like someone who had everything figured out. That made me feel so safe, like I was finally with someone mature, someone who could take care of me. Our first date was at Nobu. I remember sitting across from him, feeling so nervous because I'd never been to a place that fancy before. But he made me feel comfortable right away. He kept saying things like, "You're the most beautiful girl here, and I could see myself spending my life with you." Hearing that made my heart melt. For the first time in so long, I felt like I was wanted, like I was enough. As weeks went by, things just got better. We went on spontaneous trips, late night drives. He brought me flowers, and he even met my parents. They loved him instantly. My dad said, "This guy's got his life together." And my mom would always smile and ask, "So when are you two getting married?" And honestly, at that point, I thought maybe we would. He'd tell me about our future, about having kids together someday. And every time he said it, it felt so real. But then, little things started to feel off. One night, we went to this party together. We were having a great time dancing, laughing, and he kept getting calls on his phone. I asked him who it was, and he just brushed it off, saying it was a friend. Then suddenly, he told me he needed to step outside for a minute to take the call. I waited, and after 15 minutes, I went outside to look for him. He was gone. His car was gone, and his phone was off. I just stood there on the sidewalk, holding back tears, feeling so humiliated. I had to take an Uber home that night, and I remember crying quietly in the back seat, wondering what I did wrong for him to leave me like that. The next morning, he texted me saying his phone died and he had an emergency, even though it sounded off. I wanted to believe him because I didn't want to lose him. A few days later, I asked him to take me shopping at the mall. I remember sitting in his car, feeling excited like a little kid. But while he was driving, he was scrolling through Instagram, and I told him to put his phone away because it was making me nervous. He just laughed it off. Then suddenly, he rear-ended the car in front of us. The sound of the impact made my heart jump. They pulled over, and he got out to talk to them. When it was time to pay the towing company, he handed them his card, and it got declined. He looked at me and said, "Babe, can you just cover this for now? I'll pay you back tonight." In that moment, my stomach dropped. I remember thinking, wait, why can't he pay for this? Isn't he rich? But I didn't say anything. I just paid because I didn't want to embarrass him. After that day, things didn't feel the same. My mind was racing with doubts. I started paying closer attention to the little details. One day we were hanging out and I saw his phone screen light up. He had the Uber Eats driver app open. My heart sank again. When I asked him about it, he just brushed it off and said, "Oh, it's just a side hustle for fun." But something about that didn't sit right with me. Why would someone who claimed to be wealthy need to deliver food on the side? Then came the day that changed everything. We were with his friends, and they were just chatting about random things. One of them casually mentioned a woman's name I'd never heard before. I asked, "Who's that?" His friend froze for a split second, and then said, "Oh, just someone from back home." But I could feel the tension in his voice. My heart was pounding in my chest. Later that night, when I got home, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Who was she? Why did his friend react like that? That night, I decided I needed to dig deeper. I searched up everything I could about him online. That's when I found out that Mohit wasn't even his real name. His real name was Raj. Reading that felt like getting punched in the stomach. I remember sitting on my bed, staring at my phone screen, feeling completely numb. My entire body went cold. Then I searched up the woman's name, and that's when I saw it. she was listed as his wife. In that moment, my entire world shattered. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely hold my phone. Tears were streaming down my face, and I just kept thinking, how could he do this to me? How could someone lie so icily, not just to me, but to his own wife too? At first, I wanted to confront him. I started typing out this long message, calling him out, asking him why he did this, why he lied about everything. But then, I stopped. I realized, what was the point? He would probably just lie again. He didn't deserve my words, or my energy. That's when I thought about his wife. My heart broke for her. I kept thinking, does she even know who she's married to? Does she know the person she shares her life with is out here living a double life? So, the next morning, I woke up after barely sleeping all night. My eyes were swollen from crying, and my mind felt heavy. I knew what I had to do, but my hands were trembling as I typed out the message to her. I didn't even know how to start. How do you tell someone that their entire life is a lie? I started with, "Hi, I know you don't know me, but I think it's really important that we talk." I attached a photo of me and Rajdeep together, hoping she wouldn't think I was some random scammer. I sat there staring at my phone, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might explode. After a few minutes, I saw the typing bubble appear. My chest tightened. She replied, "Who is this? Why are you sending me this?" My hands were shaking as I explained everything. I told her how I met him at the gym, how he told me his name was Mo, how he said he was single and wanted a future with me. I told her about Nobu, about him meeting my parents, about how he called me the love of his life. Every word I typed felt like a knife in my own chest because I knew I was breaking her heart too. She went silent for a while. I could see she read the messages, but there was no reply. I felt sick waiting. Finally, she messaged back. She said, "Can we meet in person? I need to see everything." We agreed to meet at a Tim Hortons nearby. I remember walking in and seeing her sitting by the window. She looked so calm from afar, but when I got closer, I could see her eyes were red, like she'd been crying for hours. I sat down across from her, and for a moment, neither of us spoke. She just stared at me, and then she whispered, "Please show me everything." I pulled out my phone and showed her our pictures, his texts, videos of our dates, and even a little video of him telling me he loved me. Her hands were covering her mouth, and tears just started falling down her cheeks. Seeing her like that broke me even more. I felt like I was watching myself from the night before. Then she whispered, almost like she was talking to herself, "How could he do this? We have a child together." In that moment, my entire body froze. My heart just dropped to the floor. I didn't even know what to say. I felt sick. There I was, crying over losing the man I thought I loved, while she was sitting there, realizing the father of her child was living a complete double life. She kept scrolling through the photos, her breathing getting heavier, and then suddenly she fainted. I shouted for help as people rushed over. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold her up. Someone called an ambulance, and I just kept whispering, "Please, please wake up." When the paramedics came, they took her to the hospital, and I followed them. I didn't want to leave her alone. I sat there in the waiting area, feeling numb, my mind blank, my eyes dry from crying too much. When her family finally arrived and she woke up, she looked at me with such tired, broken eyes. All she said was, "Thank you for telling me." She told me that night she was going to divorce him and take the house, and most importantly, protect her child from his lies. I could see the pain in her eyes, but I could also see her strength, and honestly, I admired her so much for that. After everything came out, his entire world fell apart. His wife's family was furious. Her brothers actually went to confront him, and they beat him up pretty badly. They told him to never come near their sister or their nephew ever again. His own family disowned him too. They told him they were ashamed of him and that he was no longer their son. He lost everything in 1 week. His wife, his child, his family, his fake image. But he still kept trying to come back into my life. He started parking outside my house, just sitting there in his car for hours. It got to the point where I felt scared to even leave for work. So, I filed for a restraining order against him. One day, he tried coming up to my door, banging on it, shouting my name. And I called the cops. They arrested him for trespassing that day. And I remember watching from my window as they took him away in handcuffs. Part of me felt sad that it came to this, but the other part of me felt relieved. He needed to face the consequences of everything he did. After his wife divorced him, he had nowhere to go. He ended up homeless, sleeping in his car, and still under massive debt. The Jeep Grand Wagoner got repossessed, and he had nothing left to his name. As for me, I moved on with my life. I moved to Toronto and started a new job as a first-year law associate. It was tough, but I felt so proud of myself every single day. His ex-wife and I actually became really good friends through all of this. We hang out almost every weekend, and she's honestly like an older sister to me now. We always remind each other of how far we've come and how strong we are. And now, I'm happy. I met someone new. His name is Matthew. He's kind, genuine, and honest. He doesn't live a double life. He knows about everything that happened with Ryan, and he always tells me, "I'm so proud of you for surviving that." With him, I feel safe. I feel seen. And for the first time in a long time, I feel at peace. Looking back, I realize that everything happens for a reason. That nightmare taught me to trust my intuition, to stand up for myself, and to never let anyone dim my light ever again.